What's up, everybody? Welcome back to part 10 of my Jerome Buting Illusion of Justice Inside Making a Murderer in America's Broken System book review. This book is amazing. You can pick it up at Amazon, iTunes, bookstores, anywhere. I highly recommend getting this book. He talks about way more than just making a murderer. He goes over other cases in great detail, and he goes over the making a murderer case as well in even more detail than I do in these videos. So definitely pick it up. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. But let's jump into part 10 of my review. We're getting towards the end there. We're getting close. Part 10 starts out with Jerry Buting saying that Dean stated the case all comes down to the key that magically showed up in his bedroom on the 7th search, bones that were found outside his trailer when he had a perfectly fine working smelter that would have been much better place to destroy / burn a body, blood in the RAV4, and the contaminated bullet that was found in the garage. States that bones were found at 3 different locations, but not a single picture of any of the bones when they were found at these locations were taken. So there's no photographic evidence of these bones ever being actually found where they said they were found. He states that the last set of bones that were recovered were never fully identified for 100% certainty to be human. States that if the body was burned somewhere else, which it definitely looks like it was. There's multiple burn sites. It looks like her body was definitely burned somewhere else, allegedly, if you ask me, in my opinion. He states, though, that if it was indeed burned somewhere else and moved to Steven Avery's property, that proves that he is innocent. That proves he is not guilty. Because who is going to burn a body somewhere else and then bring the remains back to your property? That makes absolutely no sense. Nobody is going to do that. States that on November 7th, 2005, 9 deputies from the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office showed up at the Avery salvage yard. Remember, public officials had already stated that nobody from Manitowoc County was supposed to have any role in the investigation. They were just there to lend equipment if something was needed. How is this not a bigger deal? How is somebody not absolutely blown up this part of the story? That it was Manitowoc County officials that weren't supposed to be searching that found the majority of the evidence. Calumet County had a ton of officers on site already, but yet they weren't able to find anything until Manitowoc County officials got on scene. I don't get it. So it makes absolutely no sense to me. One of the Manitowoc County deputies reported finding pieces of a melted phone and maybe a camera in a burn barrel near Steven Avery's home. On November the 8th, 2005, a dozen Manitowoc County officers showed up to the scene they weren't supposed to be at. One of them reported seeing a bone fragment that looked like a spinal column. So, like I just said previously, in the span of 24 hours, they went from finding a phone and a camera to finding bones. It's like they're trying to say that the Calumet County Department wasn't even doing their job. Calumet County had already been on the scene searching for days, and they didn't find any of this stuff, and then all of a sudden, Manitowoc County shows up and finds a phone, a camera, bones, allegedly. What? And they weren't even supposed to be searching. You mean to tell me that there's no possibility that they didn't bring these items with them and was like, whoops, and dropped this stuff in the burn barrel and delivered the bones that were moved from a different location? They had ample time to do any of this. How can you even begin to comprehend what is going on in this case? It is absolutely ridiculous. It is one of the most insane miscarriages of justice I've ever seen. It's absolutely crazy what these police officers, these investigators are doing and getting away with. I don't get it. It's insane. Dr. Leslie Eisenberg, who is the state anthropologist, was not called to the scene until it was already altered and crucial evidence was lost. Not even the crime lab was called until it was too late. Now, this is where it gets even more bizarre to me. This is so strange. The coroner saw the news on television and heard that bones were found at the Avery salvage yard. She called law enforcement to ask why she wasn't called to the scene, and that she had planned to come out the next day. She had planned to come out the next day after she saw the news, but they told her not to come. A Manitowoc County executive and the county's lawyer told her to back off. Now, here's the reason they told her to back off. It's because of Steven Avery's lawsuit for his false arrest from the 1985 conviction, and they told her being there would be a conflict of interest. Her being there is a conflict of interest. What about the 9 officials, the 9 deputies that showed up on November 7th, and the 12 that showed up on November the 8th, 2005, and then found all of this evidence? How is the coroner being there, who has absolutely nothing at stake in this case, how is her being there a conflict of interest, but the officials, the officers, the investigators that had something to do with the 1985 case, most of them had something to do with that case. But the coroner, who had nothing to do with it, who had nothing at stake here, wasn't allowed on because it was a conflict of interest for her. But not the investigators that found the stuff. Not the people that were involved with the 1985 case. This is absolutely stupid. How is this not made into more of a big deal? And she wasn't even really allowed to testify at court. She was called to testify, but then she left because the judge said what she had to say was not relevant to the case. No, what she had to say wasn't relevant to the case because she wasn't allowed on the scene. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I don't get how certain points of this aren't blown up into huge, massive news stories. The coroner not allowed on the scene. The officials, the officers, the investigators that weren't supposed to be searching are the ones that find all of the items. I fully don't understand. Well, that's part 10. Let me know what you think of the case up until this point. What's going on with the case at this particular situation, what I talked about in this video. Leave some comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon with part 11.